Hey Mustangs, in this video we're going to take a look at the levels of organization for an organism and see what we're made of and other living things we're really made of. So to start, we're going to go through all 9 levels of organization from the smallest level of organization that we know of all the way up to organism. Now there's actually 6 levels past organism that we'll also be learning today. So let's go ahead and take a look at these 9 levels we're going to name them first, and then we're going to do examples next. So, the first level of organization, the smallest level of organization that we know of, is the atom. Atoms connect together with other atoms to form molecules. So 2 or more atoms together form molecules. Molecules connect together to form macromolecules. Macromolecules connect together to build organelles. Organelles come together with other organelles to build cells. Cells of similar types form tissues. Tissues come together to form organs. Organs rarely work alone, so they come together to form organ systems. And then finally, all the organ systems in the body come together to build the organism. Okay, so these are the 9 levels that you're going to need to know, and we're going to go over examples for each of them now. Alright, so the first level of organization is the atom. Now, atoms are the smallest thing that we know of, the smallest organized unit that we know of. Now, some people might say, wait, what about protons, neutrons, electrons? Those are smaller than the atoms because they make up the atom. But we're talking about organized units. So if we take a look here at an atom, you have protons and neutrons, of course, in the middle, and then you have electrons surrounding it in their orbits. But if you were to take away a proton, take away an electron, it's not a functioning unit. So atoms are the smallest functioning unit that we know of. Now examples, any element you can name from the periodic table would be an example of an atom. So since we're in biology here, if you said carbon, that would be an example of an atom. Oxygen, xenon, any of these would be examples of atoms. For molecules, molecules are 2 or more atoms connected together. Now remember, we're looking at organized units, and in those 9 that we saw in the beginning here, each unit has to come together to build the next level. So here, water is an example of a molecule. You have an oxygen atom and 2 hydrogen atoms coming together. Here's carbon dioxide, so 3 atoms coming together to form carbon dioxide. Table salt, sodium chloride, 2 atoms coming together to form that. And then a little bit more complex of a molecule, but still a molecule. Here is a glucose molecule, a sugar molecule. So you can see the black represent carbon atoms, the red represent oxygen atoms, and then the white represent hydrogen atoms. So here we have several different atoms coming together to form molecules. Now from molecules, if you connect together certain types of molecules, you form macromolecules. Now you should have learned that there's 4 macromolecules. So first we have proteins. So this is an example of a protein. And you can see this is one heck of a molecule here. There's lots of atoms that form a protein molecule. So macromolecule, protein is one. Second macromolecule you should have learned of is a carbohydrate. So here are some pictures of several different carbohydrates, and you can see they have smaller units that connect together. So this would represent one molecule connected to another, and that forms your macromolecule. And in this case, it's a carbohydrate. This here is the 3rd type of macromolecule you should have learned of, and that is nucleic acids. So nucleic acids, example would be DNA or RNA. You take a look here and you can see it's a pretty complex molecule. It has many atoms that make it, so it's a macromolecule. And macro means big, so all the macromolecules are large molecules. And finally, the 4th macromolecule is lipids. Okay, so lipids are the fourth type of macromolecule, and you can see here again how it's made up of many different atoms connected together, and not just like the molecules that we saw, but they form really big, large chains. All right, now all of the four macromolecules come together to build organelles. Now here's a whole picture of a cell, but this level that we're focusing on is not cell yet. We're talking about the organelles. Okay, so for the organelles, organelles are structures found inside of a cell, and each one of these organelles is built out of one of the four macromolecules, usually either carbohydrates, lipids, or protein. Okay, so here, you should know what this one is. This is a mitochondria, Golgi apparatus, nucleus, rough ER, smooth ER, and so on. So all of your organelles are built out of macromolecules. Now going on from organelles build cells. Okay, so here's a typical example of a cell. This is a general picture of a cell, and it's been cut in half so that way we can see what is on the inside of the cell. Now real cells don't look like the typical one that you're used to drawing or that you've seen. So this is actually a brain cell. Here's a stomach cell, muscle cells, red blood cells, a bone cell, and a white blood cell. So cells are all made by bringing organelles together from the previous level. Next come tissues. So if you take the same type of cell and you bring it together, you could form several different types of tissues. There's connective tissue, epithelial tissue, muscle tissue, and nervous tissue. And those are all built from a specific type of cell. So for example, the stomach has epithelial tissue built out of stomach cells, has connective tissue built out of stomach cells. And that's how you actually build the stomach. So from cells it goes to tissue. From tissue, a whole bunch of the same type of tissue together builds an organ. So tissue by itself really isn't functioning, but you have the same type of tissue all working together, you have an organ. So here an example would be a stomach, there's a heart, human heart in this case, and a kidney. Yeah, it looks like a kidney bean, but that's where the kidney bean got its name from, the fact that it looks like the human kidney. Alright, now organs rarely work alone. In fact, I can't think of a single organ that works alone. So organs work with other organs, and they form organ systems. So here is an example of the digestive system. This is the respiratory system and the circulatory system. And you can see that each of them have different organs coming together to form the organ system. Now all of those organ systems come together and work all together, build together to form your final level organization for an organism, which is the organism itself. So a human is an example of an organism, a bird, in this case a zebrafinch, a dog, a fish. The whole organism itself builds the final level, which is the organism.